Federal government Poland signed MOU to boost trade investment in Nigeria. Money lending committee to shut down businesses in the enforcement drive, says the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission. Plus, oil prices were mixed on Monday, with Brent edging up while U.S. crude futures slipped after airlines call off flights in the United States. The program is Business Express, reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. I am Musa Abubakar. Let's bring you up to speed with business development. The Joint Committee tackling violation of consumer rights in the money lending industry will shut down illegal businesses at the commencement of its enforcement, the Federal Competition and Consumer Protection Commission says. Babatunde Erukera, the Chief Executive Officer of FCCPC, told the News Agency of Nigeria in Abuja on Sunday that the enforcement will commence soon. The Joint Committee is made up of representatives from FCCPC, the Central Bank of Nigeria, and the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, as well as other agencies involved in the committee are the National Information Technology Development Agency and the National Human Rights Commission. Another 250 billion naira sovereign sukuk, whose offer opened on December 16th, 2021, closed December 23rd, 2021, with an unprecedented subscription level of over 865 billion naira. This outcome represents a subscription level of 346%. An analysis of the subscription data by the Debt Management Office revealed that high levels of subscription from banks and fund managers, including pension funds as well as non-interest financial institutions, ethical funds, cooperative societies, and retail investors. The increasing level of participation by a more diverse and larger number of investors is a confirmation that the DMO's objective of issuing sovereign sukuk to grow the domestic investor base and promote financial inclusion is being achieved. In addition, the high subscription level is said to be a proof of investors' acknowledgement of the impact that the $362.57 billion sovereign sukuk issued between 2017 and 2020 has had on the development of road infrastructure in Nigeria. The DMO has reaffirmed that the proceeds of the 250 billion naira sovereign sukuk will be used to finance the rehabilitation and reconstruction of road projects across the 6 geopolitical zones and the Federal Capital Territory. The Nigerian Arabian Gulf Chamber of Commerce (NAGCC) has signed a memorandum of understanding with the National Polish Arab Chamber of Commerce to facilitate trade and investment opportunities. The chairman of the NAGCC, Mahmoud Ahmadu, signed on behalf of his organization, while Robert Risati signed for the National Polish Arab Chamber of Commerce. Executive Assistant to the Chairman, NAGCC, Sulzan Ouji, in a statement said the agreement was signed in Dubai on the margins of President Buhari's participation at the Expo 2020, and the participation will unleash many business investments that will be finalized in the coming months. Amadou said already the International Investors Council, which sits on an investment capital of trillions of dollars, is talking with the chambers to bring their investments to Nigeria. The chairman also commended President Muhammadu Buhari for the immense strides of his administration at repositioning the Nigerian economy and painstakingly efforts to promote ease of doing business in the country, including issuing an executive order on promotion of transparency and efficiency in the business environment. Now, strike force unit of the Nigeria Customs Service under Zone B has intercepted smuggled items with duty paid value of more than 1 million naira.
Considering the effort of the government who have invested so much in the local farmers to be able to grow so that we become food sufficient, this in a way will have blocked the chances of Nigerian farmers.
Now, as the Central Bank of Nigeria continues to upscale its economic intervention in key areas of the economy, this year has seen more initiatives introduced to hasten economic recovery.
Strong belief that the scheme will offer our youth entrepreneurs access to much needed finance, which has been identified as one of the major limiting factors to entrepreneurship development in Nigeria.
Now, one of the popular shopping malls in Abuja, the nation's capital, was early Sunday morning engulfed in fire. Odiri Ogboru Rutere, who captured the incident, now reports.
Outbreak which occurred early morning before the usual resumption time of 9 a.m. Sundays threw residents of the area into panic before the arrival of firefighters and other emergency managers.
We got the distress call, and immediately we got the distress call, and we activated all the responders who have been here on time, promptly, especially the security agencies, forced to cordon up the place to avoid looting.
We have saved almost from here now. You can see all these roads have been saved. They are saved. You can see what we brought out from the inside. They are there.
The Nigerian people helped. They came in here and they removed everything, and as you can see over there, they all dumped it over there. Yes? And they're still helping.
Now, the business of the day, the insurance sector in Nigeria has been made active through the year with events from the aftermath of the NSAS protests to building collapse and now fire incidences. Joining me on the conversation today to discuss the insurance sector challenges in the year ending and prospects in the coming year is an insurance expert and business thinker, Ekerete Olagum Ekong. You're welcome.
Thank you, Musa. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm good. Okay, first of all, let's begin with the insurance sector. How did it fare in 2021? We've seen We've seen collapsed buildings, flooded farmlands, and as well as the aftermath of the NSAS.
Oh well, I would think the insurance sector has been a lot more discussed, than before. So that's one thing going for insurance, and this has happened because of the combination of what the insurance sector has been doing and what has happened generally to make people call for help. And so where do you go for help? It looks like insurance is the place to go. After the NSAS situation, of course, you know that the insurance industry came through to ensure that those who were properly insured got settlements, and that gave some bits of confidence to people that insurance can indeed, be available for people.
Now, with the COVID-19 thing, how important is insurance? Looking at floods and COVID-19 and stuff like that.
No, the thing is, you and I can see, that when something goes wrong, where do you go? The days of calling aunties and uncles who are also troubled are reducing, because that's where we could go for help. But these days, that help hardly comes, because everyone you are calling is in one is in one strained position or the other. So you are forced to now look at the formal area, which is insurance. And the insurance industry has also realized that it's got to respond to this as opportunity. And the opportunity is there right in front of us. We have no choice but to respond positively. And a lot of work is being done in that respect, which is why I would think this year, 2021, has been what I would call a year of advancement for insurance.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, a lot of people will be like biting their fingers that they've not taken insurance to actually cover some of the incidences that they face in 2021. But when you look at it in terms of enlightenment, it really is still not really out there.
Let me tell
as
you,
much
Musa,
as it should be.
I think the fundamental problem it's there before all of us. It's not just about insurance. What are we enlightened about really in our environment? What do we want to hear? What are
maybe when we take risk, at least maybe when we take insurance as well, it helps. It helps to somehow,
It's a shame. I mean, sometimes when you look at what farmers lose, and then you say, "Did you have insurance?" and it's sounding like nobody told me. All right, and sometimes you compare that to a collapsed building, which the law requires one to have insurance as part of the permit, and there was no insurance, and the building was being, constructed. Then you begin to wonder. There was insurance information here, but it was not applied. There was no insurance information on the other side, and something went wrong. So we are still in that mix of trying to ensure that we abide with what the law says. I think that's what the difference is. If we begin to respect the fact that, there is a law which requires that certain things be done, then we will begin to find out that, that gap that we express in terms of enlightenment will begin to close on its own. Because, yes, insurance is saying a lot, but how much can insurance say in the space of so much noise? And it's when something happens, unfortunately, that we begin to discuss what could have been done.
Yeah.
Insurance is not one of those things you get when when something happens. You get it when nothing happens. And then it's when something happens you enjoy it.
So how do we get them to apply it, subscribe to this idea, get used to it?
Now, one of the things that is going on is that when people talk about why is insurance happening a lot abroad and it's not happening in Nigeria, I say, look, we have a credit system out there. We don't have a credit system here. I use my money to build my house. I use my money to buy my car. And so, I mean, who is talking about insurance at that point? However, when you are required to take this money from an institution that is giving it to you as a loan, of course, they are required to protect that interest. And that's where financial institutions that are giving out loans and all of that are looking for insurance to back up that. So that is happening a lot. And then on their own, people are also beginning to find out that the cost of doing business, it's not going down. And, you don't want an employee of yours to have a health issue and then you have to deal with it from your purse when you could have dealt with it with insurance. So those are things that people are beginning to understand when it comes to, insurance and business. The point to be made really is that we understand when we take our money to the bank to save the money and probably get loan. But what do we do when we have to look at our property? Do we want to protect our property? If we want to protect our property, insurance is the way to go.
Okay, can digitization of the sector help enable it to provide a much better services?
To my mind, that's what will not only save the industry from the challenge of trust, but will take the industry to...
But why are we not doing it?
Very significant level. Why are we not doing it? We're doing it. Okay. It's just that by the nature of insurance all over the world, they always come to the party late. Because a lot of things have to be considered. Insurance is like, the backbone for everything that is going on. So we watch how business goes on before we now respond by way of ideas as to how best to handle this situation. So technology is just arriving, the insurance space. Digitization is just happening in the insurance space. And then lots of discussions are going on between tech companies, and the insurance, service providers to see how combination of their respective businesses can come and enhance what we're doing. And in Nigeria, in a country where we've got a lot of internet users and mobile phone users, you can almost expect that when we are able to get it, then it will just explode.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about the recapitalization? Recapitalization?
That's
the insurance amendment bill.
That's somewhere in the cooler, I would say.
Okay.
Because the legal structure has affected that discussion. Of course, you know, there was a court that was taken to the case that was taken to court, and then the legislatures also came up and said, look, suspend this process. And in that same time, we've been talking about the insurance bill, which we believe will address a lot of issues. And of course, people are going on with their business. We are in a time, you know, when people are going to decide who should handle their insurance from, let's say, January. And then they know how to go about this. Brokers are there to advise them, and they just know how to go about getting the right information to do this without necessarily stressing themselves with the issues of recapitalization.
Okay, away from that, but what about the universal health insurance coverage? If you look at it, less than 10 million Nigerians are covered. Why?
Same reason, Musa. Same reason. Information. You know, because you don't see insurance in your financial scope, sometimes you don't pay attention until something happens, you know. And for the universal health coverage, 2030, I don't know, but I think everything is being done to try and meet the target. I mean, President is signing the new health bill into law, and then we expect a lot of things to happen between now and the deadline of 2030.
Okay. Before I let you go, how's the insurance sector faring in the capital market amid the end of the year mass sell-offs, then the prospects in the coming year?
Okay, so insurance has always not fared very well, you know, but with the few companies that we have that we consider as the pride of the market, they're doing well. And we hope that as we go into next year, we'll begin to see a lot happening. Now, there is a role that the law, that the expected bill, which will go into, the law next year, is expected to play in that regard. And I'm sure with certain amendments going on, we'll begin to see a different insurance sector in the capital market.
Okay, thank you very much, Kerete Ola Gum.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Nice to be here.
Pleasure.
Yeah.
Now, moving on, gold prices inch higher on Monday, staying above the key $1,800 per ounce level. A slightly weaker U.S. Treasury yields offset an uptick in the dollar. Let's now see prices of other commodities in the market. Oil prices were mixed on Monday, with Brent edging up while U.S. crude futures slipped after airlines called off thousands of flights in the United States over Christmas holidays amid surge in COVID-19 infections. U.S. West Texas Intermediate crude futures fell 41 cents to $73.38 a barrel. The contract did not trade on Friday because U.S. markets were closed for the Christmas holiday. Brent crude rose 40 cents to $76.54 a barrel after settling down 0.92% on Friday. Both contracts jumped 3% to 4% last week after early data suggested that the Omicron variant of COVID-19 may cause a milder level of illness. The equities market is closed for the public holiday, but Bosside Abel has a preview of last week's performance.
Nigerian stocks closed Christmas Eve last week on a positive note as stocks eked out a marginal 0.08% gain at the end of trading Friday, 24th December 2021. However, stocks closed the week on a negative note, losing 0.21%. The all-share index depreciated by 0.21% to close the week at 42,262.85 basis points as market capitalization dropped to 22.060 trillion naira. All other indices finished lower, with the exception of NGX Mainboard, NGX Banking, NGX Insurance, NGX AfriDiviewed, NGX Merry Growth, NGX Consumer Goods, and NGX Industrial Goods Index, which appreciated, while the NGX ASEM, NGX Growth, and NGX Sovereign Bond indices closed flat. Mutual Benefits Insurance, CHI, and Union Bank topped the gainers chart. On the flip side, Julius Berger, MRS, and Cornerstone led the losers chart with over 9% losses each. Nigerian stocks are currently up 4.95% year to date and minus 2.2% month to date. If stocks close negative this December, then that will be the second time this has happened in the last 10 years. Boss Able, Business Express.
Our European stocks slightly high in holiday teen trade, and Ekako has more on the global market.
Hello and welcome to the Global Market Review. Market players have been juggling concerns over coronavirus restrictions and tighter central bank policy, with signs that the heavily muted Omicron strain of the virus is milder than earlier variants. Stocks in Asia were mixed on Monday, with multiple major markets in the region such as Australia and Hong Kong closed for the Christmas holidays. The Shanghai Composite in mainland China dipped fractionally to 3,615.97, while Nikkei 225 in Japan dropped 0.37% to close the session at 28,676.46. European markets were slightly higher in a holiday-themed trading session, with major markets still closed due to the Christmas festivities. The German DAX and France's CAC 40 both rose 0.03% in early deals. U.S. stock indices were muted Monday as markets reopened after the Christmas holidays and investors assessed the spread of the Omicron COVID-19 variant. Dow Jones futures pointed to a lower open by around 37 points, while S&P 500 and Nasdaq Composite both traded in positive territory. In Africa, major markets in the region are still closed for Christmas holidays, except for Tunisia and Ghana. Although Christmas is not bound in Tunisia, there are no public celebrations of the holiday, and it is a regular workday for the country. So, feel free to visit Tunisia for an incredible warm climate and beautiful African beaches, but don't go there expecting to catch the Christmas spirit. And that's Global Market Review. I am Neka Oko.
Thank you, Neka. This is where we end this edition of Business Express. We value your feedback, so keep the comments, observations, and suggestions coming. Be informed that all previous episodes are available on YouTube on the NTS channel. Business Express returns Tuesday by 9:30 a.m. I am Musa Abubakar saying stay safe.